Alright, here we are. Let's make sure we good. Let's add a source. Let's do... we'll just leave it. My mic is good. Yep, mic is loud enough, it looks like. Alright, let's go back to here. Alright, my friends, here we are again. Welcome to the Airplane Show! This is your internet pilot, Greg, getting ready to fire up some Aerofly. I can't say the Boeing 777 anymore. As you guys know, I was kind of yelled at for saying that, so now I have to call it the Boeing 777. I didn't know airplanes had feelings to where, you know, if you called it the wrong name, the airplane got upset, but supposedly this airplane got very upset at me, and it made somebody kind of yell at me, and so now I call it the Boeing 777. 777. So what we're going to do today is, let me show you the flight first that we're going to do. Let me pull it up and let me show you a couple things. So up here yonder, this is the flight we're doing now. This flight is from October 3rd. They do this flight pretty much daily, but I started working on this flight a few days ago. And let's see here, make sure this is from October 3rd. Yep. Yeah, 4 days ago. Yeah. So I started working on this flight a few days ago. I just haven't had time to do it. I decided to do Microsoft Flight Simulator instead. But anyways, we're going to do this flight today. I find it very weird that this flight only flew at like the low 30,000 feet range for majority of the flight. So that's weird. Anyways, I think we're going to do like 36,000 feet today. Not that it really makes much of a difference. It only adds like another 20 minutes of descent time. But so that's the flight we're going to do from Zurich, Switzerland to Miami, Florida, Swiss flight 64, and the METAR information that I get. Let me show you where I get that from. I haven't shown you guys this before. So there's this website here, METAR-TAF.com. So if you go here, you can just type in an airport. Like, let's type in Miami, right? So we type in Miami, hit search. Have this little box over here. If you click on see full METAR and TAF, there's always an ad that pops up. Get rid of the ad. And then if we go over to history here, you can just go down to the date and time. I think it goes back like almost a week. And then I just use whatever the military time is for closest to when it's taking off. And then I just plug it in. Aerofly changing the barometric pressure really messes the simulator up because it's not built for actual, real world adjustments like that. I've had it before with, a barometric pressure higher or lower than the standard, and it really throws off the altimeter because it doesn't compensate for it. Maybe they'll change that one of these days, maybe they won't. But anyways, let's get into what we're going to get into today. Let's set it up here. So make sure we got the right aircraft. Now, this is only the second time I've tried doing this mirroring of the screen from the iPad to OBS, so hopefully the screen mirroring works okay. I mean, it's working now, but I've had it before where I've been doing it and all of a sudden the screen mirroring just crashes because of the app that we're using. So, all right, let's set up the conditions. Let's go to the correct time. So we have 11:43 is the correct UTC time that it left the gate. in Zurich. So if it was 11:43, let's put in like 11. Let's leave ourselves like a half an hour. And let's make sure we go to the right location. Oh, I got to get rid of the nav. Delete route. All right, location. And usually Zurich, I like taking off from this part of the terminal because I believe it says like Zurich and some other bullshit behind it. And then what we gonna do? What? Runway 16. So we just got to go straight and then up, and the runway's right in front of us. All right, simple enough. Very good. This part of the terminal. All right, let's click start. Now, I don't know if this FMS is gonna take all the waypoints that we're doing today. We may have to come out to the main menu and input them ourselves. So we will see what happens. Oh yeah, I gotta turn on the iPad assist so I can have that little cursor show up. Anyways, hope everybody's doing okay on this fine Sunday. There we go. Now it's showing up. I'm always curious what the view is from the tower. Well, that's pretty nice, actually. Yeah, I knew it said something. Flughafen Zurich. I guess Flughafen means airport, maybe. Hey, look, another livery we'll never have in Aerofly. Ryanair. They do that all the time. Every airport you go to, they show you airplanes and liveries that you'll never get. They just cock tease you. It's crazy. I hate when they've been doing this shit for years. I think the last video I did, I think there was like a DC-7 parked there. You know, the DC-7's I believe that's the airplane that has the engine mounted where the rudder is. And I've never seen one of those in Aerofly, and I've been playing Aerofly for about 4 years now. All right, let's get this bird fired up. So let's come up here to, oh, let's turn off, okay. We got battery, external, external. Let's turn on the ADIRU. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me mute the sound for just 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I had a phone call come in. So, all right, let's all right. Let's see here. What's up, y'all, everyone? All right. All right, now we're good. All right, let's do the button I hate the most in this plane and the Dreamliner. It like never wants to close. This is the most difficult button in all the airplanes. Come on, bitch, close up. God, it never wants to close. I'll get this button. Come on, man, let's go. Why is it so difficult to do this button? I thought Aerofly fixed this. I thought in one of the updates I read that they actually fixed the view of the overhead panel. There we go. Yay! I don't feel like such an idiot now. Yay! It only took me 5 minutes to arm the emergency lights. Yay! I'm the greatest sim pilot ever. Yeah, it only took me 5 minutes to turn a button off. All right, we're doing awesome so far. All right, I don't think we need to do anything with the navigation. It's been a minute since I've flown this airplane, so yeah. All right, nothing for that. Let's turn on the beacon lights. And we'll let people smoke on this flight. We'll let people smoke. All right. This little pad over here, this scratch pad, the only thing I've ever really been able to get it to be any kind of use for is landing, to show like what you should set the auto brakes for landing. Other than that, like you can change these values, but it doesn't do anything. It does absolutely nothing to show you like what flaps you should be using for takeoff. It does 0.0. You can play with it if you like. I mean, I certainly do sometimes. And you can't like copy data from the FMC. Like it's useless. So it's fun to play with. I mean, it's just more buttons to push, but it's kind of useless. Same thing with trying to enter in like temperature and winds and things like that in the FMC here. It's pretty much useless, because you'll put something in, you'll hit enter, and it'll just put what it wants to in there. All right, so we're gonna go to root, and we got LSZ to the H, L to the S to the Z to the H, and then we got KMIA, KAMIA, and the flight number is SWR64. Oh yeah, let me show you one thing real quick on the flight that it flew. So Aerofly doesn't like to use current information for departures and arrivals and all that. So down here, this route here, it'll show the whole route if you fly from the U.S. to Europe, but if you're flying from Europe to the U.S., it only shows you like the part of the flight that's close to America. Bonefish doesn't exist in Aerofly. We have to use the Hilly 4. So what I'm getting at is, most of the time, if you go here to route, the standard instrument departures and the standard terminal arrivals that they use in real life, most of the time Aerofly does not have them available. They're like a couple of years behind, it seems like, with their navigation, information. So anyways, we can activate this. Let's go to execute, and let's go to departure, and we are leaving runway 16, and we are doing the Will 2 Romeo. I think that's what you're supposed to say. Will 2 Romeo. All right, and we can hit execute, and let's go. Now, normally you would go to route here, and you'd be able to go to like next page and start entering in your route here. You can't do that in Aerofly. Let me show you. So last sun is the waypoint, the first waypoint after our standard instrument departure, right? LASUN. So if the via over here is if you're gonna input a highway in the sky. So we click this here, see, nothing happens. because you know, it's not set up for that. So you have to go over here, and then we're gonna go over here to this blank boxes here, put in last sun, and then the next one is Lumel. Now these waypoints here, I'm putting in these are the waypoints that we're gonna have to pass in order to get up to our cruising altitude. After we get to close to the cruising altitude, or I don't know when I'm going to transition to the descent, but I'm certainly not going to sit here for 10 hours. I'm not going to sit here for 10 hours. So Torpa. So we'll probably transition like halfway up the climb, and then transition to close to the descent. All right, we got Torpa. So far, so good. We got Rekla. R-E K-L-A, K to the L to the U. All right, then we got RLP. RLP, I just did a practice with Microsoft Simulator. I bought the ATR 42 and 72, and I did a practice flight in Tahiti. Man, that plane is pretty fun to fly, let me tell you. I don't know if you guys saw any of the airplane show last night, but I crashed the hell out of that airplane, man. I'm certainly glad it was fake, because I don't think anybody would have made it after that. I don't know what happened. The ILS and the glide scope were working fine. Yeah, see, it didn't like snaggy for some reason. We'll have to go and add that in ourselves. Everything was going good with the landing. The ILS was captured, glide scope was captured, everything was good. And then all of a sudden, the plane just decided to make a right and start heading to a different runway, and it started increasing its altitude. I don't know what happened. So by the time I figured out what was going on, it was a little too late. I probably should have I guess in real life you would have done a go around, but I like nosedived to the runway and tried to pull up last minute, and it didn't work out too well for me. All right, so we're going to do ILS 8 right today, and we have the hilly 4, and we're going to click execute. All right, so that's all set up. Now I'm going to get rid of that discontinuity box before I input the last waypoint. That way, when we go to the main screen, the flight will be completely connected. All right, so let's go back. Let's go to navigation. Let's type in, I don't know why you can type it in here, but you can't input it in the system. Oop. Come on. All right, yep, that, and input that. Okay, yeah, because our top of descent is, so we're probably gonna start here for the top of our descent, because this is not too far from Jory, and then we'll come down here, and then we're gonna fly a little bit past Miami Airport, and then we're gonna make when we get to about this point here, we're gonna go ahead and activate the approach mode, use heading mode, make a big U-turn, pick up the localizer, and then the glide scope should capture a couple miles away from the airport. So, all right, now that we are connected with our route, let's pretend that the rest of this information we can put in. So let's go to menu, not menu, init. This stuff is already pre-decisioned. Changing it does nothing, because it'll just go back to its original settings. So you can just double click on these buttons on the side, and that will put everything in for you. Thrust limiter, I do like to actually put in a 30 degrees above the outside temperature. So we're going to put in 42 for here. I do that with every plane. Whatever the outside air temperature is, I just do add 30 degrees Celsius to it. All right, so that's good. So now we got takeoff, thrust limiter, yep. All right, index, performance, yep. All right, so cruise altitude, I guess we're going to do 36,000 feet. This is already done. There's no sense of changing any of this because it's not going to keep the changes. All right, so that's good. And we got just did thrust limiters, takeoff, approach. I think that's about it for setting all this up. I guess we could put a fix in since it's going to go away anyways when we transition to our descent. Now, in real life, you can put a runway in. Most of the time with Aerofly, you can't do that, so I just type in the airport. And again, there's really no need to do this. I just like putting a circle like 25 miles around the airport. Now, when I land, I like to put like a 4-mile circle around, 4 miles out, 5 miles out for landing gear, and then like 10 miles out, 15 miles out for, like flaps 5 or something like that. So, all right, so LSZH. Now, if you want to input in here BRG, you can put the radial you want to connect to. If you want to do the radial first, just type the numbers in, then hit this slash here, the forward slash. I'm just going to do a mileage radius, so you can do forward slash the mileage you want, hit the button, and now there'll be a 25-mile circle around the airport here. Program, yep, VNav, climb, cruise. All right, we're good. Let's get I guess we'll get the APU fired up. Let's go over here and, oh yeah, there is a checklist, by the way, in here. If you do want to use it, you can. You can just click the checklist button here, and it'll bring up a checklist for you. So you can go here like the normal menu, and you can just start ticking off everything if you want. You can just, all right, RTO. Let's do that. And then we can go to, yep, that's all good. We got all that done. Before taxi, yep, that's all good. Before takeoff, yep, okay. So anyways, if you want to play with that, you certainly can. I never see, I mean, it's more buttons to push if you like pushing a lot of buttons like I do, but all right, so we got that. Let's turn on the APU. Turn it. I like to hold start for a few seconds. Now the generator's already on. In this particular airplane, it's already got over here. See, Aerofly was supposed to fix this. They were supposed to fix the view of the overhead display. But anyways, the bleed air, all this stuff is set. The trim air, the bleed air, the pressurization, all that stuff is already set. So there's really no reason to go in there and do anything with it because it's already set. So let's wait for this. Let's wait for the APU gen to show up. That should show up any minute. Hopefully. Yeah, see, it says APU running here, but it doesn't show it here. That's very strange to me. It's very strange that Aerofly has had this airplane for many years now, and they haven't done anything to really improve it. All right, we can turn, now that the APU is on, we can turn off the external power. This is to be the point where you would typically do your pushback, but there is no pushback feature in Aerofly, so let's turn on all of our, I guess I should have turned on one of the fuel pumps. Usually you turn on like the center aft fuel pump or something like that for the APU, but you don't, there's no need for it in Aerofly because it turns on up by itself. So I mean, not by itself, but you don't need to help it turn on by adding fuel to the system. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's make some more lights happen. All right, we got that. Okay, start. Auto start is on. We click this, click start. Usually you wait for this to get to around 20, and then click on this button here to add fuel to the system. I guess at this point it's pretty safe to turn our flight directors on. Turn them on both sides. Now you can do a step climb if you like, where you stop at certain altitudes to gain speed and all that, but I'm not doing that today. I'm just going right to 36,000 feet. All right, that's doing its thing. Let's go up here and crank up number 2. Well, number 1 engine, actually. And once that gets to about 20, go here, click that on. I guess we can turn on our transponder now since we're turning the flight. I want to do TARA. There's no weather thing in this plane for weather, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's do stat. That's just the generators kicking on. All right, that's good. I'm gonna come over here and do data. So I like to have all the info that I can show up for the speed and height. Okay, so we got to be over 5,000 for Brago. I guess we can turn off the radio. There's really no reason to have it on right now. All right, Toga, we got that. Okay, so that's good. We can now turn the APU off. All right, that's all good. Let's go ahead and put our wing lights on, our logo lights, and our taxi lights. And everything else should be good. Let's put the right pressure. So it's showing 1013 here. It was 1021 the day that this flight took place. So we'll put 1021 here. And we'll put 1021 here if we can. And we'll have to plug it in over here as well since it doesn't sync up with the other side. All right, let's do map, I guess. Let's do data, and we'll turn off these VOR switches. Before the last update, you were able to use your controller, highlight this, and click the triangle button or the Y button, depending on which controller you're using, and you would have been able to drag those toggle switches forward and back. You can't do that now. Aerofly decided to get rid of that feature now. When you try to do that, it brings up like a different camera setting. So um, I don't know why they did that. What am I looking up here? Where are my flaps? Flaps 15. Okay. So let's go over here to flaps. And on your controller, you just push the right D-pad button. That'll put your flaps down to 15. You can go down here and turn off the parking brake. And now we can go ahead and I guess we'll switch our camera mode. And taking off. Taking off. To control your airplane on the ground, you need to use the triggers, right and left trigger, to control the rudder. It's the only way you can control the airplane on the ground. Should probably lower the volume a little bit. If you need, oh, hang on, let me lower the volume a little bit on here. So if you want to stop the airplane, if you're using your controller, oh, look at that. That's a, oh, we might actually, no, wait, is that Qantas? Oh, Air Berlin, okay. I was like, what's Qantas doing over here in Switzerland? Especially that Qantas plane. That's like, that looked like a Q400. Like, man, I don't know how they refuel that mid-flight. Anyways, if you want to stop the airplane on the ground and you're using your controller, you need to pull back, pull back on both of your triggers. Pull back on the right and left trigger together. And that will stop your airplane. British Airways. Oh, that's Emirates. And one thing I can't do in this flight that I usually do when I am recording is, I usually have like 4 or 5, well, not 4 or 5, like 3 or 4 different angles of takeoff, like the different camera angles for takeoff. I can't do that today because I'm streaming. But yeah, we're just going to take off from the cockpit. We're not gonna do the tower view, I guess. It's kind of difficult after you take off to get back into the cockpit and get reacquainted, arm the autopilot, put the landing gear up and all that without kind of messing up the airplane. As far as like with the thumbsticks and all that. I guess I could try it. The worst thing that happens is I crash. Maybe we'll try it. I guess we'll see what happens. I guess I'll be dangerous today. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go 2 for 2, 2 crashes in 2 days. Now, out of all the planes in Aerofly, this probably is my favorite overall plane to fly. I just love the way it looks and like the way it sounds. I do have to say I do like the Dash Q400, the Dash 8 Q400 a lot. I really like that plane too, just because it's one of the only planes in Aerofly that you have to do quite a bit of stuff inside the cockpit to keep the flight going. You need to adjust the propellers, the throttle. There's no auto throttle, so you have to keep an eye on your speed at all times. You have to use hydraulic buttons and feather buttons and fuel boost buttons and opening the vents on the engine in case like a bird in case a bird hits one of the propellers, it'll actually I forget exactly what those vents do. I guess if I was a real pilot, I would know that, but it being that I'm not a real pilot, I don't know that kind of stuff. So we're going to stop up here and put on our runway turnoff lights, which we probably would have had on already. We should do a stream one day of just driving the plane on the ground and seeing how far we can go. Like do somewhere where it's kind of flat, like maybe like Manchester, England to, I don't know, like somewhere where it's completely flat, and we'll try it and we'll see if we can do the whole trip like on the ground. That would be kind of interesting to see if we can do that. All right, so we are going to click user, 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 and strobe lights were already on, so that's one less thing we got to push. All right, we can also click LNAV and VNAV right now, and let me see what our and V2 is 160, so we'll put this at 175. We'll do 15 knots over the V2 speed, and we will arm that. So now when we get back into the cockpit, all we have to do is just turn on the autopilot and we should be good to go. Let's enable that. So if you're using a joystick, when you enable the gaming mode on the iPad at least, that allows you to now use your left thumbstick to, I'm sorry, your right thumbstick to, fly the airplane. It won't move the cursor anymore. It now flies the airplane. When you disengage that mode, then that right thumbstick you can use as a cursor, like I've been doing today. Come on, Bessie. Come on, let's move it. And to move the throttle forward and back on a controller, it's the up and down arrows on the controller. When you land, if you hold the down button on the D-pad, that should activate the reverse thrusters. And then while you're doing that, you can hold down the right and left triggers, and that should, stop the plane, slow it down enough so you can get off the runway. So we'll line up here, and we will go ahead and switch it to the tower mode, and we'll see if we can. I mean, one thing Aerofly does, which is nice, is when you're doing all these different camera modes, it does have that HUD up top, so you can follow the flight director and see how fast you're going and the route and all that. So I mean that is one nice thing about this simulator. I mean, there's a lot of nice things about this simulator, actually. There's just some things that over the years would have been nice if they improved upon, especially since they have such a loyal fan base. Maybe because they have such a loyal fan base, they don't feel the need to change anything, except add a couple of things here and there, like a new helicopter, a new airplane every once in a while. They've been talking about doing a brand new 737 for a while. Hopefully, they will do that and do it properly. All right, let's go to. Oh, hello. Man, look at them engines. All right, let's fire these engines up. Now, there's no way of knowing where the throttle's set when you're doing this view because you can't see the speed of the engines. But I usually just hold the up on the D-pad for a few seconds. Oh, maybe we should get out of this view. This thing's only running at like 14 frames a second. Yeah, let's go into the cockpit. Whoa, whoa! See, told you bad things happen. Bad things happen when you're when you're doing that outside view. Wow, we almost uh, we almost finished before we began. All right, let's keep holding forward. We can see the V speeds popping up here momentarily. Come on, Bessie, let's go. All right, positive rate. Whoa, positive rate, positive rate, positive rate. It's been a while since I've flown this. All right, gear up. We'll fly this manually for a few minutes till we make this turn. And then after we make this big U-turn, we'll engage the autopilot. Make sure your bank angle's not too steep. And I think as long as we're around the 170, 175 mark, speed-wise, we're okay. So that's 15 over V2. So far, so good. Let's turn a little bit to the right so we're not so steep. All right, we can go pull our flaps back a little bit. Let's start leveling out the plane. Let's move our flaps again and let's engage the autopilot now. So we can get rid of that and click autopilot, and now we should be good. And we need flaps 1. Let's see where we're at with our flaps. Flaps up. Throttle reference. So in the Boeing planes, you don't need to do anything with the throttle like you do in the Airbus. Airbus, you have to put it down to climb speed, the climb notch on the throttle. Boeing, it does it. It's automated. All right, our flaps are up. Our gear's up. This would normally be the point where you would lock the gear, but you can't do that in this simulator. I think I'd like to be like if I was going to be a pilot, like a pilot in real life, and I was going to fly for a company, I think flying for Swiss would be cool. Get to fly like out of Switzerland and all kinds of like cool parts of Europe. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody my age sitting over there in Switzerland saying, if they were going to be a pilot, they'd like to fly for Southwest so they could see all the cool spots in America, I guess, maybe. All right, let's come back in here so we can turn off some lights since we're crossing 10,000 feet. And we need to put our barometer to standard. All right, we can turn off the wing light and logo as well. And let's make the barometer standard because I believe I didn't pull any maps up from real life, like from Navigator, but I believe 7,000 is the standard point on this flight. I would believe usually it's 7,000 in Europe for a lot of the transition points, and we need to go here and do standard there as well. So that's all good. We are well above where we should be right now. That's okay. We are climbing nicely. Climbing nice. Let's check out the volume of the sim compared to my voice. Yeah, it looks okay. So we're really all set for our climb now. I don't know if it would be climbing this steep in real life. Look up here. It's like over 4,000 vertical feet per minute. Like I don't think that's how it would be climbing in real life. But that's how Aerofly has it programmed, so that's what we're going to do. That seems to be very steep for this altitude. As long as it keeps this up, we might as well just get up to 36,000 feet, and then we'll transition to our, close to our landing. Oh, excuse me. So far, so good. Okay, it's leveling off, it looks like. Maybe it's leveling off so it can gain some speed. Because usually that happens around 10,000 feet. Usually the plane will level off, like the Boeing's here. Not the 737 and Aerofly, but the 747, the Dreamliner, and this 777. Usually around 10,000 feet it'll level off and then get up to around 300 knots, 330 knots, as far as the indicated airspeed, and then it'll start its climb again like it's doing now. For some reason it's doing this about 10,000 feet later than it normally would. I don't know, I just like the way Swiss planes look. It's very clean looking. I like the red and white. I like the plus sign on the back. I've always been a big fan of Swiss Miss hot chocolate. I wonder if they sell Swiss Miss hot chocolate over there, or if like you get laughed at, like if you go to a grocery store, they're like, hot chocolate, what are you talking about? So this little crescent shape here, that's usually on the map display here to show you where on your route, like your topo, like where you're gonna get to the altitude you chose. I'm not sure why it's not where it should be. Oh, it looks like it's going to stick to that line, so it doesn't actually stick to the map. It just sticks to that vertical line on the CDI there. That's a shame. It'd be nice if that operated properly. Now when we land today, I'm not going to adjust the barometer again. I'm going to switch it off standard mode. Otherwise, it's going to put a box around it, and it's, and then reminding you that that's what you need to do. But there's no point of changing it in the simulator because it like I said in the beginning, it doesn't the atmosphere doesn't change with the barometer setting. So only thing it'll do is make you close to too high for your landing, or you'll approach will be too low. All right, so far so good. I guess we could turn off, but that is off. Okay. I wasn't sure if the auto brake turned off, but we are not following. See, that happens a lot in this simulator. When the autopilot's making too steep of a turn, it'll actually disengage. So we were close enough to the path where we didn't need to use heading mode or disengage the autopilot and take manual control. We were close enough to the path where we could just re-engage, vertical nav and the horizontal nav. Man, my legs asleep. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. Got all these old man things happening. Legs falling asleep. Music's too loud. Neighbors are annoying. Actually, my neighbors are really annoying, actually. They are. Their bass is always thumping over the weekend. And I work from home. I work downstairs, and during the day, all day, the dogs are barking, bass is thumping. The guy's wife doesn't work, so I guess she's at home just partying all day. They do get a lot of DoorDash. I will say that most of the meals that they get during the day, his wife and whoever's over the house, I see a lot of DoorDash drivers, which is crazy. Like, they have a car, they should just go out and pick up the food. I mean, spending $25 for a combo meal from McDonald's is crazy. All right, so we are almost at the top of our descent. I mean, ascent, not descent. So we're close enough. We'll let it level off, and then we'll go ahead and switch to get close on the map to our descent point. Yeah, see, it has transition altitude 7,000 already, so I thought it was 7,000 in Europe. I mean, it's not the same all over Europe, and it also depends on which approach you're flying and arrival and all that, and what part of Europe you're in. All right. Now for the landing today, I will do this scratch pad here just to show you the workings of it, but it does give you a little graphic down here of the runway and the supposed stopping points of the airplane when you have the different levels of the auto brake set. Alright, so we are at our cruising altitude. It now says Mach, LNAV, VPath. We are good for the remainder of our flight. If you ever want to sync up the heading with your actual heading, if you highlight it and just click the button, that will sync up. Oops, no it won't. No it won't. I thought it synced it up. I guess you actually have to turn the button. I know it says select there, but I really thought it would have synced up because it does that in other Boeings. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the main menu. Now when you do this and you choose a new location on the map, it will, not only does it like reset any frequencies you may have had programmed, or VOR frequencies, things like that, but it's also going to refuel the airplane as well. So top of our descent is right after Osgood there, so I think we'll pick a spot right here, because that'll give us some time to set up the airplane, get VNAV set up, plug in the correct altitude we need to descend down to. And let's see here, and we're at 36,000 feet. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, I do have it written down already. So the glide scope's going to capture at 1,500 feet. So we need to get down to 1,500 feet at some point. Okay, so, and the time that it landed, so the time that it touched down was at 22:10 UTC, so at 10:10 at night. So it looks like we're going to be doing an evening landing, which is okay with me. All right, so we had 22:10, so let's click this back to about 21 something or other. All right, let's do start. And make sure we click on the autopilot. All right. Now what I want to do is go over here to program. I want to see the top of our descent. Oh, we got a little bit of time. We have 141 miles into our descent, so we got some time. So let's go over here, and what we're going to do is so it says performance takeoff right now. So if you click show landing, right, go up here to show keyboard. We're going to type in KMIA. Oops, got to click airport search first. So KMIA, and click search ident. And we can click this, right? The runway is 08 right. So we got 08 right. And the wind that day was 40 degrees at 12 knots, so we'll plug that in just to do it. It doesn't make a difference, but we'll just try to be as accurate as we can. So we got 40 at 12. It was 30 degrees Celsius outside when it landed, so we'll plug that in. 30 degrees Celsius. And it was 2987, so that's probably around 1010 hectopascals. Alright, and now to get out of this typing mode, just hide the keyboard, come up here and click calculate, and now it shows you the approach, 432, like if you have them on. So I don't know if this is accurate for this runway, but it does show you a nice little graphic, so if you want to pretend that it's showing you the right information, certainly go ahead. Alright, so that's that. Let's come over here and program the approach information, which I don't think we can change. Now, I have in the settings for Aerofly not to populate this field. Like, I want to do it myself. However, they don't like the fact that I want to do that, so even though I have it turned off, they still have it turned on. And usually most of the time the frequency is correct. A lot of times the course is wrong. So in real life it's supposed to be a course of 92. So we'll try to fix it. Sometimes I forget which planes allow you to fix it. There are some planes in Aerofly that will not allow you to fix it. I think you can fix it on this airplane. Whether it sticks and stays, that's one thing. Okay, so let us do that. And we're gonna plug in 113.9. But you know, we'll just plug all the everything in for the ILS info. 110.3. And 110.3, 110.3. We're going to turn the VORs off anyways momentarily. But having it plugged in here, it will show you the radial that you're on. So as you're making the U-turn, if you're on this screen here and you're making the U-turn, you need to pick up a course of 92. You can certainly look at the map and figure out, you know, how close you are to being on point, but it will also show you here the opposite of 92, because, you know, radials radiate from a VOR, the course is going to it. So if we're on a course of 92, the opposite of this would be the 272 radial. All right, so we got legs, and I guess we'll just program it for what, 29,000, 31.6, and we'll just keep on adjusting it as we go down. So 31.6. Let's click VNAV. So that's armed. Our VNAV indicator is right here. It's also right here as well with this pink triangle. When this pink triangle starts coming down here, when it gets close to here, then it will, it should start descending automatically. All right, and the decision height is 442. So we're going to come up here and change this to baro for barometer, because decision height is based off of the barometer, and we'll do 440 because that's the closest one to it. Alright, we can turn off, that's on auto, that's okay. Alright, so let's activate a little light action here. Little light action. Let's keep people out of the cockpit. And let's turn on a little bit of light action here. Alright, my friends, we're all set for... Oh yeah, we gotta do data again, that's right. Do data. And let's get rid of that VOR and that VOR. Come on now. There we go. If you want to pull up your checklist, you can. We can do checklist for descent, I guess. So pre-descent, yep, VREF, we got all that. Approach briefing, yep, got all that. Approach, auto brake we'll have set. Landing data, altimeters. All right, we're good there. Let's go here and we'll click I guess we'll leave it on engines. I guess. Well, we'll leave it on stat. I guess. Or what? Who cares? Who cares what we leave it on? And I find that interesting that it's already descending when it shouldn't be doing that. Hmm. Oh, whatever. Who cares? As long as we land properly, I guess that's what matters, right? But it shouldn't be descending yet. All I did was just arm VNav. It wasn't supposed to do any kind of movement. Should have stayed where it was at. Oh well. This simulator's got some quirky things, man, that it does, that's for sure. Because it's still showing 72 miles. Alright, landing altitude. I don't think there's a way to adjust it. Yeah, there's no way to adjust the landing altitude in this airplane. Not with this simulator. Now, VNav and index approach. So 30 flaps, 145. Again, you can't change this info. That's locked in, so. Alright, well, we'll leave VNav programmed like that. And now, I guess when we get to Ozagi, I guess is how you pronounce it, I guess it'll start following what it should. So, as we get closer to it, I'll adjust the altitude down again. Hopefully this time it won't actually descend prematurely, but we'll see what happens. Man, my leg's still falling asleep. Jesus Christ. I'd love to be able to do an RNAV landing. Well, you can do an RNAV landing, but you can't program the RNP like you're supposed to. The threshold for any kind of errors with the altitude. There's no way to program that in here to keep the autopilot in line with that program. You could certainly just descend at the right intervals and pretend it's an RNAV landing, but you can't do it. So, I don't know if anybody watching this has been to Miami before. I haven't been to Miami in a long time. I used to go down to Miami almost every year. For many years, actually. I had a lot of family that lived down in Miami. But sadly, they've kind of all passed away now. Oh, I didn't realize that the that it got stuck. Give me a second. Let me stop the mirror and put the mirror back on. Unable to connect. Yeah, looks like it's not going to work. That's a shame. Well, it's been stuck for a while. I had no idea that. Alright, so it looks like I can't really stream Aerofly effectively. It's a shame. I wasted $8. So I guess I'm just gonna have to do videos the way I was doing them before, where I just record it and then upload it. But yeah, it's having trouble connecting. It looks like. Well, I guess that'll end this stream for today then. Shit, sorry about that. I wasn't even paying attention to the stream. I was actually just flying the airplane. I had no idea that it stopped streaming it, or it's still streaming it. It's just the screen is frozen. That is crazy. All right, well, that's about it. Let me go ahead and I guess I'll record this video tonight, and I will try to edit it tomorrow and have it uploaded tomorrow evening at some point. Um, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in today. I might actually erase this stream since it's broken, but if you did tune in today and catched it, I'll re-record this flight tonight the way I usually do and upload it tomorrow. The way I've been doing Aerofly videos for close to a year now. So that's about it. I'll see y'all later.